Call to order the 890th meeting of the Board of Directors of MSAD 27. Roll call.
Keith Jandro. Here. Isabel Lozier.
Here.
Jacob Terrio.
Here.
Toby Jandro.
Here.
Dario Lett. Dario Lett.
Present.
All right. Gary Sibley.
Present.
Sarah Ashley.
Here.
And our student reps are not.
Any adjustments to the agenda?
I do have two adjustments, but before I do, I just want to welcome Isabel to the to the group. Isabel is the Wallagrass appointee, and she'll be with us at least until the elections in Wallagrass, which are slated for March, I believe. So welcome, Isabel, and enjoy. For adjustments, I have there's a little slip of paper right there in front of you that has one of them, but I have a second one. So the first one, under items of business, new business, add item E. It's a vote to authorize the school revolving renovation fund financing. Lucy sent an email out earlier today. We just got the paperwork for that, and it's to just sign off on that. And after speaking with the chairman and with Jake here, we're going to put in item F under new business. And it's to appoint a new member to Valley Unified, since this will be Jake's last meeting.
Period of public participation. Kevin? Anyone else want to sign up to talk?
And I think because Kevin is not a resident, you would have to approve him to speak.
Anyone want to make a motion to allow Kevin to speak?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Kevin?
Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you this evening. In regards to the upcoming mediation that will take place within the districts, so that way we can determine if we do have a regionalization of schools. I, being the chair of the director at St. John Valley Tech, of course I have the vested interest in having a regionalization. And I'd like to explain to you how regionalizing our school system would benefit the children of our districts. Okay. And I know that you've gone through this in many different facets, but please indulge me for the few minutes that I have for you. Okay. Over the years, the Tech Center has been in inception since 1992, has been present. So we have experienced a true regionalization within our SAUs. If you understand that we have Madawaska, we have St. Agatha, we have SAD 27 represented at the Tech Center. They all send youth there, and they all participate in one form of education. That's CTE education. For 28 years, we have been successful at educating our youth in the hard and soft grades. And if we were to poll our businesses in the area, would we be safe to say that the majority of our businesses are all in the area? A lot of hard trades. I guess we could say that, right? Okay. We do have a lot of welders out there, a lot of plumbers, electricians, carpenters, etc. Okay. We all know the great number of individuals within the workforce at this present time, not only Aroostook County, not only our valley, but the nation, that are going to be retiring out in the next few years. Okay, they're the baby boomers. Okay, so with their outward migration leaves vast gaps. Okay, vast gaps for to fill those slots. So it's very, very important that we continue educating our youth in those endeavors. Okay, I have business owners knocking at my door all the time saying, "I need your help. Please, our workforce is diminishing within 5 years by 50%. When I ask, what is your workforce? 35 people. That's a vast change in their industry. So just to give you that brief perspective, if we were regionalized in one building, okay, we would gain 1 hour of education per CTE student every day. That's 176 hours a year. Talk about more education, more training, more business collaboration that can take place, okay? So that way we can put our young students in the marketplace right away and start utilizing the education that they're receiving to make a better, productive workforce development. We can't ignore that fact, folks, okay? So it's important that we realize the benefits of that. Secondly, if we regionalize, what would happen is we have more people at one area. So right now, if I was to poll many students, some say, I don't go to CTE because I'm away from my friends, or I'm away from my district school, okay? Whereas they'd be all in the same building, that takes out that excuse. You have more populace right there that can be involved in CTE. You could have students at that point take a quarter, a semester, a year, or multiple years of CTE, growing your numbers, therefore giving greater opportunity for the workforce development in our communities to thrive. We all know we're not growing in population at present if we do nothing, right? So we need to think outside the box and be able to say, what can we do to help our economic development? This is not all about education, folks. It's about our economic development in the area as well, okay? We have that social responsibility as an educational body to ensure that we are an active player in making sure that happens. And we could do this in that endeavor, okay? So I implore you to think about that as you mediate, okay? And think about not only the school SAU, but the vast area of the valley, okay? We are each other. We are Acadians. We are Valley members. We're all one of the same. Let's support each other by making this an enriching opportunity for our youth, which is our future, okay? I want to see the Valley flourish as much as anyone else, and this is an opportunity to put a piece in there to make it work better, okay? So I think that that's highly important. And again, just to reiterate now in closing here, the statistics show that right now there is 8.3 million trades, okay, within the United States that are going to be seeking to backfill because of baby boomers getting out of the trades, okay? And this is solely looking at just the hard trade piece, not soft trade, okay? Just the hard trades, mechanical engineers, plumbers, pipe fitters, electrical, etc. Okay? Those are staggering numbers. What can we do to ensure that we continue that endeavor? Okay? Yes, if you have a school here, a school there, and a school there, tech can still continue. But if I look at the statistics from past years, from its inception, okay, to present, we have had a negative 36.1% change in enrollment. Okay? One may say, oh, well, our kids of today are more techie, they don't want to go to the trades. That could be a small facet, but let's look at the nucleus of our schools. Have we all had a diminishing number of enrollment in our schools? Yes, right? So if we populate ourselves all together in one, yes, then we're in one unit being able to at least have them have a greater opportunity to participate, okay? As I mentioned before, those pieces. So within the last 10 years, 16.4% changed to the negative, okay? And again, that nucleus is changing all the time. But I need you to change that course of event. If we are all regionalized, we have that opportunity to build that number up. Okay? So that's why I'm here to implore to you, it's not all about education, folks. Education is a big piece of it and a big component of it. But it's economic development that you will foster and put in place some guaranteed benefits for our workforce out there. because I can tell you, they are knocking at my door. I encourage any one of you to come see what we offer at the Tech. Do you know the programs we offer? Good. I'm glad you say yes. But I want you to come see it for yourselves. See them in action. See them working. See the business collaborations we're doing now in the community that have a positive impact. Okay? We can make that 10 times bigger if we really put our efforts and regionalize. So I thank you very much for the time that you've provided me today to at least speak on behalf of CTE and all educators in each SAU, be it CTE or academic. We are relying on you to make a great informed decision. I know it's not easy, but please, please think of the youth. Think of the economic development. You have a means of being able to alter the course of history for the better. Don't make it something you regret. Make it something you'll be proud of, and that we've collaborated our efforts to make something good. Again, I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I think everyone knows me, but I'm the guidance counselor at Valley Rivers, and I've been working here for about 20 years. And I just wanted to speak a little bit because there's been a lot of talk about this, obviously, working in the schools and out in the community. And I felt like some of the stuff that I was hearing in the community and from like parents and staff members as to like our board's decision already being made and that kind of a thing, that I wanted to at least kind of speak up a little bit about. Like, I've worked here for so long that I feel like I've presented to the boards before. I've talked to people on this board one-on-one about problems we've had in our district, and I think that we're forward thinkers, and you know, we have spent a lot of money educating our students on being, you know, being open-minded and, you know, being having a growth mindset. And I'm hoping that when you guys go to mediation next Monday, that you are being forward thinkers and that you are using that open mindset that we're speaking to our students about, because I've always been really proud to work in this district, and I understand your concerns. I sold real estate for many, many years, and I know that a lot of people think that if their schools close, that the value of their homes will go down, that their taxes will go up. And I really believe that if we were competing with another town that was getting this school, that may be something that we should be concerned about here in Fort Kent. I really do. But the fact that all of our districts would be coming together, and that regardless of whether you live in Fort Kent, Wallabrass, Madawaska, Frenchville, your kids would get to go to this school, I really don't think that it's going to change people's opinion about where they would want to buy real estate. So if that's what people who have come to you and talked to you and said we have to have it in our town, I think that that's something that we need to be able to speak further about, because I've sold many houses to many people from outside that have come to our community, and they do look at the schools. But we are going to have an elementary school, and traveling 15 minutes to have a state-of-the-art school, most people, I think, are going to be okay with that. Lots of people that I've talked to have said that they would be totally fine with that, to be able to provide their child with that opportunity. And I also know that there has been a lot of concern about the way that the place, you know, that the spot was chosen, and I'm hoping that you guys can discuss that at mediation and be able to figure out some of those concerns. In terms of, like, you know, taxes going up, I do believe that if we can provide this opportunity to our students, and we get to that stage, like right now I feel like we don't even know that. We haven't gotten to the stage where we've been able to look at what's this going to cost us, and you know, how is the money that we're getting going to be able to be used in relation to how much we have to put in. And I know there's concern about the voting, and all of those things I think can be discussed by people who have that open mind and that growth mindset and figure that out. And that's what I'm hoping for happens on Monday. But when I hear people say their minds are already made up, or I've tried and been shot down, or, that really disappoints me because you guys are representing us. And to be perfectly honest with you, I was nervous about coming because you're my boss's boss, and lots of people have talked about that too. And I know you've heard from the PTO, and I know you've heard from some of the teachers associations, and yet I keep hearing people say that they don't feel like that 50% voice is being heard. And I'm hoping that you are able to prove that wrong and to say that, you are hearing these people as well. And that you do understand that many of us as educators, we've seen this from its inception. We've looked at it, we've visited schools, we've talked to kids. And honestly, we believe that this is, and I speak for, many people, but I'm not saying I speak for everyone. But we believe that this is what's best for our kids, and we want you as our board who represents us and as our community to take that into consideration when you guys go on Monday and look at a way to be able to save this school, because I think that if we give this money up and don't provide this opportunity to our students, that we're really, really going to regret it, because this is an amazing opportunity for us. And I just hope that you consider that on Monday. So, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, approval of minutes for the 889th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? And approval of financial statements for October and November.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Superintendent.
I just want to provide you with a couple of updates from the Department of Education. Before I do that, I just wanted to put a plug here. Melanie Legassi, the Valley Unified Food Service Director, wanted you all to know that last week we served 6,191 meals to remote learners and or children under the age of 18 that requested a meal. So that's a lot of meals. That's 516 lunches and 516 breakfasts per day that we were serving on those days that we served. So pretty amazing. Now getting to the DOE updates. There was a face mask guidance update last week, and then again there was a more strict one passed through the governor's executive order. Basically, when you are entering a building anywhere in Maine now, you are wearing a face mask. But specific to schools, there was talk about mask breaking and making sure that students are stationary when they're mask breaking. And with regards to taking the mask off for eating, really making sure that those 6-foot distances are upheld, and students should be facing in a similar direction, not across from each other. Just some guidance on that. The CDC changed their requirement for quarantine, required quarantine, from 14 days down to 10. There was a meeting with Dr. Roberts and the health advisory team, and our school nurses opted to stay with the 14-day requirement for the time being, just out of an abundance of caution. They really felt that that the 10-day guidance is specific to urban areas that are in a shortfall of help, and they're trying to get a quicker turnaround of people to recover and get back to work, whereas we don't necessarily have that problem here. So the nurses really felt comfortable sticking with the 14-day guidance, especially given that there are some active cases in the area. So we'll revisit. I think, Peter, we said we'd revisit at the end of the first semester, and then make a decision to go to the 10-day after that. I attended the regional superintendents meeting every Thursday. I meet with the other presidents of their associations for the county. I represent Aroostook County, and they wanted to give us a couple of insight on some changes about to happen. The DOE will be pushing out some new guidance regarding ventilation for the winter months. Right now, the current guidance still says that your bus should have an open window in the front and in the back. It's very cold out, and even though it's milder today, we're going to need some updated guidance on that. They're going to push out some more face covering updates based on the governor's new executive order, and they're also going to be pushing out some elective and voluntary extracurricular band guidance. Right now, because band essentially can't happen within the framework of the return to school guidance, they're going to model a little more what is happening on the athletic side and allow for some extracurricular band things to happen. So there's going to be something on that as well. The DOE wants to remind us to take care of our school community members, so they pushed out a priority notice last Friday on some resources that staff could have specific to staff and students, specific to school-based mental health support, social emotional learning training and resources, and a new social emotional learning curriculum for schools that want them. We'll be pushing this information out to our staff so that they can again push that out to the students and staff who need it. And then the final update I have is a joint statement on the commitment and support for diversity and equity and inclusion in Maine schools. This was pushed out also last Friday, urging schools to work with their school boards on a commitment to support diversity and equity. And I have a plan that I've gone through with my administrative team
in the framework of the
on developing an equity task force, and it's something that I think we're not going to roll out right now because of all the things that are going on, but definitely planning forward, we're going to form that task force to essentially look at how we're doing in regards to inequity balance in our district. So it's just information for you at this time. Any questions on those? I do have my administrators here, and I'd like them, if they don't mind, putting them on the spot to just give a real brief update on remote learning, how it's going, the feedback you're hearing from your teachers, students, if you've heard from them, and I'm sure the board would appreciate. So I'll start with you, Mr. Netto, if you don't mind.
Yeah, very, very different picture right now compared to what we had in the spring. In the spring, it was a big rush to learn Zoom, learn Google, learn all of these different things. I was talking earlier with Jake, just very different atmosphere. I wouldn't say people are not stressed out. There's still a stress there, but it's a different type of stress. So we had, just today we had teachers coming in asking questions about how they're editing their videos, whereas in the spring it was more about how do we record a video, how do we make a video. So I would say much more successful this time around. Still some adjustments to be made. The plan seems to be going well in terms of what the expectations are, but there's still going to be some fine tuning there within each of the individual classrooms. We were able to get packets and papers sent home for the students that are going to need that, particularly with the fine motor skills and worksheets, those types of things. But all in all, I'd say very, very successful. In terms of the office, sometimes you can gauge in terms of how many people are coming into the office, how many phone calls you're getting. So that's, I wouldn't say it's been quiet, but I would say it's a very, very different picture than what we had in the spring. So I'm really proud of the staff in terms of what they did, not just through the spring in terms of learning, but that extra they put in since then to be ready for now. So really, really great job, I think, by all the staff and all the teachers and all the techs in terms of what they've done throughout. Really professional and great work by everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Netto. And just with unsolicited, when I came into the meeting, Chad walked in to set up, and he shared from a parent's perspective that it's very different from a parent's perspective as well, on the good side, I think is what you meant, Chad.
Yeah.
He's nodding, so that's good. Mr. Coletta, you want to give us some information?
So we had, much like Mr. Netto, a real positive, great first week. most of our, kids that I've seen at the store, I've been talking to them, they are, pleasantly surprised at how well it's going. Teachers are very, upbeat about overall how well it's going. The attendance has been so much better compared to last year. It's night and day. But Mr. Neto said, a lot of this has to do with, teachers are more comfortable. Students are more comfortable with the format. And also our schedule will be set up so that we have half the amount of classes each day. So it's definitely more doable for the kids. It's not as overwhelming. Last year we had 6 periods a day. This year we've got, 3.5 in wing time, where students can catch up on the work and remediate as well. So they're doing well. Mr. Dorman, I talked to him today. He said he had 100% for all of his classes, 100% attendance. So that's really good. He teaches juniors and seniors. So very happy to hear that. And there's definitely less kids. We call it going dark when they don't show up to class. We had our first list. There's probably 3 or 4 kids per grade level in that. But then we're able to get on those kids a lot easier compared to last year when we had a list a lot longer where we had to find those kids and get them back into it. So we're very happy. Our teachers are working wicked hard getting it done, but they've taken the bull by the horns. Last year, those 8 days we gave us at the end of the year really went to great use. And then what we've got for technology with some of the COVID funds has really helped out a lot. And everybody's more comfortable, working hard, but they're I think the quality of the education is there, and so is the attendance. So I'm very happy with that. As far as when I got back from today, it seems like the second week is just as well.
Thank you. And I'm sure you got your update today. We had a second case associated with Superintendent Elementary School. Luckily, speaking with the nurse consultant at the DOE, speaking with Nurse Rebecca, who's handling these. These were cases where the student, the individual was not positive when they were last here, so that's good. And we wish them a speedy recovery, but it's just goes to lend that I think we did the right choice moving to that remote model. We hope to meet with our Northern Maine Medical Center advisors over the Christmas break. I think we have a date for the 28th set up right there. The 28th to meet with the health advisors?
December 28th.
And to re-examine what's happening after the holiday break and then make a determination. Obviously, we'd love to be back in school, and that's going to be our primary goal. And so we'll look at what's happening in the community when we make that decision. Any questions on that?
So will you be moving forward with saying we're going to do remote learning after the Christmas break just to be on the safe side?
I think we really, with Dr. Roberts' guidance, we really want to see what's happening in the community. This spike that we have right now seems to be contained to that same incident, and we're hoping that that incident has some recoveries and that number drops lower, and we feel more confident about reintegration at that time. Just wanted to give you a CRF2 update with regards to reallocation that came by surprise the day before Thanksgiving. I opened up my email with a login to the system where we filed these original requests for CRF funds, and there was a new award of $295,000 for our district that we had to figure out how to spend by Tuesday the 2nd. So Giselle, Lucy, and I were very, very busy on Monday and Tuesday coming out of Thanksgiving break and looking at how we can best put these funds to use, and speaking with Anne Marie about how the MLTI system works and how when we sign up for MLTI, the program, we fund in that program the devices for your teachers, your guidance counselors, your school nurses. So we made a determination that since we're looking at a new MLTI contract possibly this spring, It would help us on the local budget side if we would fund new devices for our educators now and not have to put it in the local budget when we budget in the spring. So there will be new devices for all educators in this project. We're also able to secure devices for those ed techs that had not been covered in the previous round, so we're going to have devices for them as well. We got some camera upgrades for Fort Kent Elementary School in this as well. I'm trying to think what else we had in this project. Well, that was in the original CRF, but I'm specific. The big one was the laptops. That was the big project overall. But it was good. Oh, we did get some curriculum materials. So we will be securing a new math curriculum at Fort Kent Elementary School, and then here at CHS and VRMS, actually VRMS specific, the science curriculum was completed with all of the student materials that we needed, and then we are looking at matching the high school math curriculum with the middle school math curriculum. So now we'll have a comprehensive 7 through 12, possibly K through 12 after Mr. Neto and his team look at the elementary program, which would be amazing. Any questions on that? Did want to update you on the current CRF projects. You probably noticed that the storage shed is going up at Fort Kent Elementary School, and that is on track to be completed by December 31st. We do have some more flexibility from the DOE if these projects run beyond December 31st. We are now allowed to have those projects that were intended to be done to carry over into January, and we are allowed to submit for invoicing with the DOE up to March 1st. So a little more flexibility, and our contractors are breathing a sigh of relief because of that, especially Third Eye Global, who I think they have 15 projects in our school district. They've been very busy this past week updating the cameras. As you walk down the hall and look up, you'll see that there's a lot of cameras being updated as we speak, and the intercom system is also being updated in both buildings as well, so they've been very busy. We've pretty much secured all of our purchases. Lucy followed up with all the team leads last week to make sure that all of those projects were buttoned up and all of the orders had been placed, so things come in slowly and we continue to put them to use as soon as we do. So we seem to be right on track with our CRF work. Do you guys only have 2 pages of notes, or do you have multiple pages? Just two. Just two, yeah. Our notes were cut short. I was noticing that I don't have the other page. Yeah, same one I have. Actually, I think you and I have different pages. All right. I'll get my digital copy so that I have my talking points. Maine Education Assessment Information. I can't remember if I updated you all on this, so I thought I'd just bring it back. The state of Maine is retooling their education assessment suite. If you remember, 3 years ago, I think they had, or 4 years ago, they had moved to the Smarter Balance test. That's the spring test they give to students in grades 3 to 8 and grade 11. Then a few years later, they dropped Smarter Balance and they picked up Cognia, which was the new Empower Me test that they did for 2 years. Last year was supposed to be the 3rd year, so we were supposed to have 3 years of data last year, but COVID hit, so they did not test in the spring. The DOE looked carefully at that contract this summer, and they decided not to renew it, so now Cognia is gone. And the commissioner is working with the school districts right now to secure the NWEA test, which is an assessment that we were using in our schools. Many Maine schools use NWEA as a formative assessment platform. And the NWEA will become the new Maine state test, but it won't be used exactly the same way. It's going to be used more in a formative light is how the commissioner is framing it. The state will also purchase the suite for districts. so that this is not gonna be an added cost for us. They'll only purchase it for grades 3 to 8, and I think they're looking at grade 10 instead of 11. The SATs are no longer a required test from the DOE. They will be optional from now on for those students who want to take it, so we will still offer the SAT, but it will be an optional test. So that's the direction that the DOE is taking right now. They're supposed to put out a press release as soon as the contract is solidified with NWEA, and I'll have more information for you at that time. In your packets, you should have board report, administrator reports. I believe we have one from USET, one from Mr. Michaud, and one from Ms. Stacy Sear. I don't know if you had any questions about those reports.
Anyone have any questions?
Under old business, I put an item for Valley Unified mediation, just so that I can remind the full group that mediation has been scheduled. And I think it's confirmed. I'm not sure. Maybe Toby and Gary have more information, but I believe it's scheduled for Monday, and it will be starting at 4 o'clock. It will be conducted via Zoom, and it will not be a public meeting, which is why you only have 2 board members that are representing you for that purpose. And this mediation is not a binding mediation. In other words, whatever the mediator rules on is not something that you know is something we have to do. But it will, I assume, be advisory at that time. That's pretty much the information I have. I don't know if you all wanted an opportunity to speak about. I'm assuming it's Gary and Toby that are representing. I didn't know if you wanted an opportunity to talk to your representatives about that mediation.
We're pretty good on it. I mean, we've talked many times in the past. Anyone have anything they want to add, or?
Just I'll put a finer point. The mediator doesn't make a decision. We talk. That's all it is.
Okay.
Mediator's there to kind of act as a referee. There's not like a judge. It's just we talk. So that's what's going to happen.
Moving on to new business.
Under items for information, we do not have any retirements, resignations, transfers, or new hires. We do have 2 recommendations for part-time cooks, and that was due to some part-time people that stepped down. I believe, again, I don't have my notes. I'm going to try to find them real quick here. I believe the CHS part-time cook is Diane Weaver, and the Fort Kent Elementary part-time cook,
Melanie Boucher
Melanie Boucher.
is on your
Thank
notes.
you. I wish I had my notes.
You can have mine.
No, I'm gonna get my digital one, so
I don't think it's mine's complete either.
something happened. So that's the recommendation.
Motion to approve Melanie Boucher and Diane Weaver as part-time cook helpers at FKES and CHS VRMS.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
We do not have any current openings right now. Next item I have is substitute teacher rate of pay, and Barry, I will display that on my screen so you can see it. On January 1st, the substitute, the minimum wage goes up from $12 to $12.15. Right now, our current rates are at 85 is the low for a non-degree substitute, and that goes up to $100 a day for a retired teacher or certified teacher. In order to meet the minimum wage requirement, because a substitute does work a 7-hour day, we would be just short of the requirement at $85.05. So the suggestion is to just move up $1 on every scale item, 86, 91, 96, and 101. But also, in addition to that, we are proposing some substitute teacher incentives. It is extremely difficult right now to find substitutes, and we're just trying. I think I Googled, how to attract more substitutes, and incentive pay was something that they suggested. So we're proposing. Number one is something we already do. If a substitute takes the sub skills course, it's an online course. I think it's about a 7-hour course, and completes it with a passing grade. They present their certificate to us. We bump them up $5 on any scale. That's something we already offer. But after 40 days of service for substitute teaching, we are proposing that they would also go up another $5. And then in an additional step for longevity, if a substitute is with us for 80 days, we would bump up $10 at that time. Again, trying to keep our long-term subs or subs that are going to be with us for a long haul, and making sure that they appreciate that. We're even throwing in a free lunch. So we're just trying as much. We tossed around some different ideas about gift cards and that type of thing, but I think it's a lot cleaner if we just do, a salary adjustment on this proposal here. Note 1 says that if you are a long-term sub, so if you have a long-term placement, you're in one placement for a duration. After 10 days, you're already bumped up to the teacher, to where you would fall on the teacher scale. So that individual will not get the benefit of this because they would already be bumped up anyway. And then it's not applicable to ed techs who are going to fill in as subs, because sometimes we do pull our ed techs into, fill in here, fill in there. But they have their own salary scale that wouldn't interrupt this. So this is the proposal to go up $1 and implement these incentives. We're going to suggest.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the teacher pay rate increase presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
The next item was an item that was added as a recommended talking point, I believe, and it was specific to the technology assistance that we are providing to MSAD 33. And that technology assistance is essentially the director assistance. If you remember, when we presented this last spring, we were going to attempt to have Anne Marie help out in SAD 33 while we look to determine if they actually need a full-time director, a part-time director, or if we can look for this arrangement to be the future with that district. The way that this works is we've asked Anne Marie to do her regular day for 27. So Anne Marie does her 8-hour day for 27, and any work that she's doing for 33 is to be done outside of her hours in 27. And speaking with Anne Marie, that's not always possible because sometimes you get a phone call or you get an email from somebody outside of this district. So what we began doing is tracking when those things are happening and making sure that Anne Marie is recapturing that time for 27 so that there is no loss of time for 27. Essentially making sure that she's doing what's right for 27 during that regular workday, and then assisting as needed. If you pass by the parking lot here at CHS on any day of the week, you'll probably see Anne Marie's car here till 5, 6, sometimes 7 o'clock at night, and that's because she is helping out recapture that time, or she's assisting at that time. We check in with Anne Marie regularly, as I did with her today, to make sure she's not overdoing it, to make sure that she's not overworking herself, which is very difficult. But we know that there is a need, and we want to make sure that we're helping to provide that. I don't know if that answers your questions sufficiently. I don't know that in the future, maybe depending how things go, if the right solution is to take Anne Marie's contract and say maybe we sell 10% of that contract to 33 or 20 or 20%, whatever it is, and make it more clear about the payment distribution of that. I say that, but it's very hard because you right now, 27, you need a full time. You don't need 80% time. So it would almost have to be above and beyond the regular time, which is essentially what we're doing right now. So MSAD 33 is charged for those additional times through stipends, is how they're doing it. So there is a compensation for Anne Marie for that time that she's recapturing beyond her day.
Keith?
The whole reason this came up, Ben, it just happened that I was paying attention to what our neighbors are doing, obviously, as they are with us. And I noticed back in June, there was discussion in MSAD 33 about us sharing our technology coordinator, as is Madawaska, with MSAD 33, and I felt like we hadn't had that discussion here yet. And I know we had discussion about potentially transitioning to a Valley Unified technology department, and we weren't quite ready for that yet.
Yeah, I think when they discuss sharing, you're not sharing during the regular day.
Well, what was really concerning is it sounds like MSAD 33 was really in severe need of updating their infrastructure.
Yep.
Their technology infrastructure sounds like it was quite dated and quite lagging in comparison to ours. So that kind of raised a red flag in my mind, thinking, wow, Anne Marie's really going to be tied up with this project. What's left for SAD 27 if
So
here we
33
are.
has actually contracted, was in technology to do the brunt of that work.
Sure.
All updates and that type of thing on the network side. And so Zach has been contracting with them for all that work. The stuff that Anne Marie's mostly doing is the DOE reporting stuff that needs to be done. She helps with that. She makes recommendations for what they need for technology and that type of thing, but not, she's not functioning as a technologist. They have their own who was in technology who's doing all that work for them, so that we're not providing that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Another item, and I'm assuming Mr. Willett can hear me, Barry did ask for, through the chairman, for an item on the district's plan for the future, and I think that was more just of an open discussion type thing. I'm very open to providing you my thoughts, but I think maybe that's more of a board discussion than a superintendent, unless you want it to be a superintendent discussion. I think we just need to have conversations about what happens after Monday's mediation and where do we move forward. I think in whatever happens, I think appropriate planning has to be part of the solution, and getting ourselves to make a plan of action of where we go from here into the next 5 years at least. So I'll just open the floor for whatever your thoughts are. Barry is still there.
Surprise.
No, you have to unmute yourself, Barry. You have to unmute yourself.
Where is Barry?
He's,
Oh.
He's been downstate and didn't want to come.
click unmute. Barry, click unmute. Barry, I see you talking, but you have to click the mute button.
I'll start. I think we need to access rural U at UMFK more.
How am I doing now?
Yeah, we
too
can
late,
hear you.
Barry. Just joking.
Go ahead, Barry.
Is there a delay here or what?
Yep.
Okay, we can hear you, Barry.
Should we open the window?
Anybody have a MERS radio?
Okay, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Is there a delay here? I hear you loud and clear, and you're a lot bigger than,
I know.
Yep, we hear you.
That camera,
Thank
that
you.
camera died.
Okay, if you can hear me, I'm point with this.
Go ahead.
Good big Ben. Am I muted or not muted?
We can hear you, Barry. Okay, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Loud and clear, and you're a lot bigger than delay here.
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, try one more time. Go ahead. Hello. Yep, you're good now. You're good, Barry.
Well, leave.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. My question was that we had, as a board, voted that we were not going to follow through with the site selection. And all I wanted to know was what is the plan if we do not go through with the site selection as a board. The board voted on this 2 or 3 times, and every time we voted on it, we are not going with the site selection. We just want out. So I guess that's my question is, what is the plan for SCD 27 if we do not participate with the site in Frenchville?
We heard that, Barry.
Okay.
Everyone's thinking about it.
Just making sure you're done, that's all.
Well, our
My
relationship,
concern is that we don't have a plan now.
well, our relationship with Valley Unified is going to continue. I mean, we have a contractual obligation, right, for another 20-some years. So, I think we'll have no choice but to even explore that, maybe even further. I think I mentioned earlier about the technology department, that might be something to look at down the road. To say we're gonna go back to pre-Valley Unified, I don't know if that's feasible from an economic standpoint. I don't know how all of you feel about that.
Can you rephrase that, Keith? A relationship with Valley Unified? Expanding it?
Well, expanding it to whatever degree best serves our school district. We're still gonna share tech centers. We're still gonna share superintendent services. I would assume at some point, central office either is gonna stay the same or morph into one. Continuing education, that already has. So where do we go from here?
And if the project fails, I think we need to really look at what we have for resources within our community and build those up. I think we have a lot of resources in our community that think we take for granted. And I'm talking as a person who lives in the community, not necessarily as a school board member. I mean, I think that's the first thing we would need to do is take a step back and see what we have here. I mean, we have a lot here. We got a university right across the parking lot. Jake kind of touched on it there. I think we could better use that resource. I think just an assessment of where we want to go. I think in the wake of this, we need to sit down and assess what's important to us and what's not important to us. And maybe take a new approach right from the start. I feel like we've always just kind of patched together what we already did. Maybe it's time to take a step back and take a bigger, broader picture, broader view of what we can do in our community.
We're gonna have that, what was it, that we kept talking about having all spring?
Retreat.
Board retreat. It's gonna be so awesome. Can't wait for you guys.
I definitely think that you're right, Sarah. We definitely need a workshop where we can just sit down and, identify the things that are important to you all, and then trickle that down into, we have a master plan for Valley Unified, but I think we need a plan for SAD 27, and including, facilities updates, including, our recruitment process, including, I mentioned it a while ago, our equity task force. I think we need to do a lot of that work specific to you. But I hope that what Keith said rings true as well. I hope that there's a future for Valley Unified just from a collaborative. We're going to need one another for years to come. And I think that we've built something really nice. And you all know my position on a regional school, but if that doesn't happen, that doesn't mean that we have to stop working together to try to improve. I think we can still do that, which is my 2 cents.
I agree, I think there's services that.
I guess I have a question.
This is Barry. Breaks it.
Go ahead, Barry.
Sarah?
I was just saying, I think there are services that we can share. I think there's things that can be streamlined there, but I think that there's probably gonna need to be some repair of that relationship moving forward. If we're gonna share services, make sure that whatever happens next Monday doesn't hinge it too far. All we can control next Monday is what we can control, and then all we can control after that is what we can control. I mean, we can't. We can only do what we can do. And I think a workshop retreat to define what we see as problems and then potential solutions is probably the next course of action.
Isabel, you're new, but a recent graduate. Do you have any thoughts or feelings?
I mean, personally, from my experience in high school and everything, utilizing Rural U was a major help in my college, just because it saved me a lot of time and money. But also, I think, kind of like what he said, utilizing our shared stuff would also be great, kind of like you added too. So I think basically a combination of what he's saying and what they're saying, just combining those together would probably be. I mean, obviously I don't know a lot about it, but personally that's how I feel. It would probably be better off to kind of combine ideas.
Thank you. Anyone else have any thoughts? Barry's.
So you, Gary, because you're the chair doesn't mean you don't have an opinion.
Oh, I think like we've said, that, you know, we obviously need to sit down and brainstorm, have this retreat that we've talked about for months, year, whatever. But we do have a lot of resources available to us in the community. Sarah, I know in her response to Doug, had some excellent ideas on different ways to integrate kids into the community through a work standpoint. More of a hands-on learning type thing that benefit businesses and kids around. There's a lot of things we can do. I guess we just need to wait and see what the tone is going to be Monday and how that's going to work out. Go from there. Ben? Pretty much stated.
I have, and I think, you know, I think there's a future for us to continue to collaborate. I really do think that we owe it to our communities to, and Mr. Dalba highlighted a while ago, you know, we have some regional problems that we're going to need to address. Some are very specific to this community as well, and so I think we owe it to at least give that a shot. And I think proper planning is the good first step.
Anyone have anything further? We can move on to the vote to authorize the school revolving renovation.
So Lucy has prepared motion in front of you, and you would only, whoever makes the motion would only need to read the yellow highlighted part. Just to remind you, this is for the renovating loan that we applied for and received for upgrades at Fort Kent Elementary School for a safety vestibule and some ADA compliance in the front entrance.
Sure. I move that the vote entitled Vote to Authorize $112,200 School Revolving Renovation Fund Financing be approved in the form presented to this meeting, and that the secretary file an attested copy of the said vote with the minutes of this meeting.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
And the final adjustment was specific to Valley Unified representation. Jake will not be on the board much longer after he makes his move out of New Canada, and therefore this board will need a third representative to join Toby and Gary on that board.
When's the next Valley Unified meeting?
I believe it's January 4th.
4?
January 4th, let me double check. I think that's a budget workshop number one. Yeah.
Everybody jump at once. I'm already on it, I can't do it again.
Isabel, Keith, since you're from the outlying communities, do either of you have any interest?
Well, I was thinking maybe our vice chair would be interested, but I think she.
I was avoiding eye contact really hard. I agree. I think outlying community would probably be a good idea.
Well, we have somebody else coming in. Do we want to make do we have the capacity to make a temporary appointment until we have whoever comes in from New Canada?
And see if they want to.
I mean, we don't get he's leaving and somebody's coming in. Just-
Right. When you appoint, is it for a year? Is it, or is it
I
just
don't
until
know.
we
Do we
say
have a
so?
policy on that, or are we just making it up?
No, it's in the interlocal agreement. I think it's a 3-year appointment for the interlocal agreement.
Are you talking about the DU appointment or the appointment to the board until there's a new?
Would be,
I'll accept nomination.
Nominate Keith.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Thanks, Keith.
Yes, thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Keith.
Isabel, I had shared with you a list of
The standing committees.
standing committees that Kerr was on. You don't need to decide today if you want all of those, but there is one, I'll ask if you don't mind serving for the time being, and it's an appointment, it's somebody to represent on the St. John Valley Tech Board. We need one board member to serve on that, and I think you bring a really different perspective since you recently graduated, so if you don't mind accepting that one, that would be great, and I'll let you know when, you can even join the meeting, so it's not super low. Kevin was waiting, and you can make sure that I've got someone. And I think when we do have a new candidate, maybe we can go through the list of those standing committees and reassess at that time.
Motion to enter into executive session for the annual evaluation of the superintendent.
And I think we had tabled that.
Move to adjourn?
All those in
Second,
favor?
No, I said, okay, I'll second it. I don't care. I don't have to be first.
All those in favor?